Okay. Traffic was pretty bad, that's why we're late. It's one of those things. And class is supposed to be over at 7 o'clock? Huh? RT's at 7. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And if I say the verse, you can say back the verse even if you don't have a book? Yes. Yes, let's try. Ye caiva sāttvikā bhāvā. Rājasās tāmasāś ye. Matta eveti tan viddhi. Natvaham teṣu te mayi. You guys are really good. Oh, okay. I take it back. You can read. Okay. Translation. Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am, in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. All material activities in the world are being conducted under the three modes of material nature. All these material modes of nature are emanations from the Supreme Lord, Krishna. He is not subject to them. For instance, under the state laws, one may be punished, but the king, the lawmaker, is not subject to that law. Similarly, all the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are emanations from the Supreme Lord, Krishna, but Krishna is not subject to material nature. Therefore, he is nirguna, which means that these gunas or modes, although issuing from him, do not affect him. That is one of the special characteristics of Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This verse, this verse as well as the next verse says the same thing. Krishna, Tribhir gunavayir bhāvāir ebi sarvam idam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mam ebhya param avyayam. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Krishna's disclosing his position. At the beginning of the chapter, Krishna made a promise, and he keeps his promises. His promise was that he was going to explain to Arjuna how to practice the topmost form of yoga. The topmost form of yoga is the yoga where one engages in his devotional service out of all the other systems of yoga. It's the topmost system. Bhajate yomam. Shraddhavan. Shraddhavan. With faith, having faith. Bhajate yomam. So, a very nice reason, an impetus for serving Krishna, is because he's beyond the purview of material existence. Although we cannot see him with our eyes, and therefore we can't know him that way, we can know him through the medium of devotion, and the beginning part of devotion is hearing. So what better way to hear about Krishna than hearing from Krishna about himself? Because our material condition is, as the next verse explains, this one, text 13, the living entities, us, were deluded by the three modes of material nature. The three modes of material nature are propelling us, pushing us, compelling us into the whole range of material activity. And how do you get out? That's the discussion back in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad-Gītā. Once implicated in material existence, it's a damned if you do and damned if you don't situation. It's described like that. That if you want karma binds you, so a logical thing might be, well, just stop doing karma. Stop working. Stop engaging in activity. But you can't stop engaging in activity because the soul is active. And as soon as you do activity, you're bound by your karma. So what are you to do? You can't stop doing things, and as soon as you do things, you're bound by material nature. So the answer is then by the process of sacrifice, by rendering sacred those things that are of this world, elevating to the transcendental position. So now Krishna is disclosing another feature, aside from the bondage of karma, described in chapter 3 and chapter 5. Here is the modes of nature. Krishna's position is he's beyond the modes of nature. He doesn't control, the modes of material nature don't control him. He controls the modes of material nature. The modes of material nature are under his direction. All states of being in this material world, all states of being are directed by him. But he's not under its control. So what does that mean? It means when you contact Krishna by this process of yoga that was described in the previous chapter, the topmost of the yoga processes being bhakti, devotional yoga, by connecting with Krishna, you go beyond the modes of material nature. The struggle with guna and karma is terminated by that connection. And there isn't a better way to connect with Krishna than Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam. There isn't a better way. Modes of material nature subside. One can live, as the saying goes, in the world but not of the world. We can be involved in life where the modes of nature are very active. Boston's a busy city. Passion is very strong. I think New York wins, though. It's just where the temple is. Have you visited a temple lately, Muktavanya?
Not lately.
You won't even recognize it. You wonder maybe you went to the wrong neighborhood. It's booming construction all over the place. There was a parking lot across the street. It's now a 15-story condo building. There was a little candy store next to us. It's a 18-story, 5-star Sheraton hotel. Not finished yet, but it's going up. And then down where the little the Department of Motor Vehicles was, 57-story other building. And on and on. It's just like, passion. Passion. So what do you do in a situation like that for a spiritual life? By connecting with Krishna, it takes one beyond the modes of material nature. And in fact, those of you that live in Boston for as long as you've been here, you know, it's the rising above the modes of material nature is to keep yourself absorbed in Krishna's service. Do the deity worship very nicely. So who was it? Somebody, in the course of my travels Oh, yeah. Somebody said that they lived in the Boston Temple for 3 weeks. It was a devotee who was one of our pujaris in New York. There was some big festival, and somebody had to go from Boston to go help with the big festival, so he came here to help with the deity worship for 3 weeks. He said, it's really nice. The deities are very beautiful, and the prasadam is really good. Boston has a reputation of very nice prasadam. And so if we connect ourselves with doing our activities with this mood of devotion, the opportunity is here, whether it's wherever you are, in a relation to Krishna position. So one can remain transcendental to the modes of material nature by connecting with Krishna. And then receiving the people that come in a transcendental way, with nice prasadam and nice kirtan and nice deity worship and nice friendship. These things are certainly very nice ways by which one can serve Krishna. There's a real nice section in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam where Krishna and Balaram are walking together in the forest, and it's summer season. And those of you that have been to North India in the summer season know it's really hot in summer season. Some kids that I know, because summer is the only time they can go, they go in the summertime. And they come back saying, Maharaj, it was so hot. It's like walking in an oven. It's so hot in Vrindavan. Even at night, you can't sleep. It's like you're in an oven. Then you wake up and it gets hotter. Anyway. So it was hot in Vrindavan, and but the trees were bending. Krishna noticed the trees were bending to provide shade for Krishna and Balaram. So he stopped. Maybe you recall that beautiful painting. Krishna puts his arm around Balaram, and he's pointing to the trees, and says, "I think these persons, these trees, in their past lives were great sages. And they simply wanted the opportunity to serve you. And in so many ways, they are just like saintly persons. In all ways, they're simply engaged in service. They provide their shade for the heat of the summer. They provide shelter in the case of rain. They provide their fruits, they provide their berries, they provide their leaves, they provide food for the insects and the birds and all different types of living entities. Their whole life is simply engaged in service. And then a very famous verse where Prabhupada said, saintly persons, their business is to serve others with their lives, with their wealth, with their intelligence, and with their words. And I'm making reference to this because I heard Prabhupada speak the major part of one class just on that statement. He was instructing us, this is how he would like his followers to serve. And we can gauge the fruit of our service unto others in this way. If we are very fortunate, then some persons may come forward and dedicate their lives to Krishna's service. If they don't come forward and dedicate their lives, they can engage their intelligence in Krishna's service. They can use some God-given gift of their intelligence to serve Krishna, and he was giving some examples. And in addition, or alternatively, they can engage their wealth in Krishna's service to carry forward so much service to Krishna. That's very much required. And with amounts of wealth, we can do more and do more and do more. But at least, this is the punchline at the end, Prabhupada said, at least they should give their words of appreciation. Anyone who comes in contact with a devotee, they may come to our temple, or they may meet us when we're on Harinam Sankirtan or someplace moving in the public, and they should say after the exchange with us, "Oh, these Hare Krishna people are so nice." And by that appreciation of their words, they'll make spiritual progress, further spiritual progress. They will say to others, and others will say, "Oh, the Hare Krishna people are nice. Let me go to that place." So that's, some of you are simply visitors, but some of you are our regular members and receiving our visitors. And if we engage ourselves in any of those ways or combination, then that's very nice. And because by that medium of engaging in Krishna's service, we're directly contacting Krishna, and by directly contacting Krishna, it carries us beyond the modes of material nature. Although, once again, the modes of material nature are under Krishna's direction. If Krishna so desires, Krishna can withdraw the influence of those modes of nature, acting upon us. Krishna has that power. There's a very nice description in Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm going to give two more examples, where Devahuti says like that to her son, Lord Kapila Dev. Devahuti, anyone not know who is Devahuti? Devahuti? Don't know? Devahuti. You know who is Krishna? Yes. And one of Krishna's the firstborn living entity is Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma, his function is he builds the universe. He's not exactly the creator, he's the chief engineer. He puts it all together. And then once he puts it all together, he has to fill it up with living entities in the different residential quarters. So he makes arrangements for that by expanding directly from himself others that assist him in that capacity. So very early, first the four Kumaras, then Lord Shiva, then Swayambhuva Manu. Manus? Yep. So the first of the Manus is Swayambhuva Manu and his wife Shatarupa, and they both appeared directly from his body in fully adult form, and he gave them their service, help populate the universe. So Shatarupa and Swayambhuva Manu had 3 daughters and 2 sons. One of the daughters was Devahuti. So like just right, 1, 2, 3, third generation after Lord Brahma. And Devahuti married a great sage named Kardama Muni, and she went to live in the forest with him. She left the royal palace to go live a forest life. It was her choice, her preference, because Kardama Muni was so qualified. And it's a longer story, but we don't have time for it, but Kardama Muni had already, by his spiritual practice, he was visited by Lord Vishnu, who said, "I know your heart's desire. You'll please me very much by your austerity and your devotion. You wish to have me as your son. I will become your son. And I will appear as your son and the son of your wife, Devahuti. In fact, Devahuti is going to be here in 2 or 3 more days, right here in the forest, brought by her father, Swayambhuva Manu. And when the father makes the marriage proposal, say yes." It was made really easy. Sometimes it gets really complicated. "And then I will appear as your son." So Kardama Muni became the son. Kapila Dev, one of the incarnations of the Supreme Lord Krishna, became their son of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. And Devahuti, after Kardama Muni left their ashram because now there was an elder son to take care of her, she was beside herself with distress. She had not only been living with her husband for some number of years. This was Satyayuga, serving faithfully for tens of thousands of years. She was very attached, and he's now gone. So she sat in front of her son and said, "Help! I'm so attached to the modes of nature and the products of the modes of nature, like family. I'm so attached. I know the philosophy," I'm paraphrasing, "that I'm not this body. I know these things, but I'm attached. And I know that attachment is under the influence of your energy. So can you please remove that energy of yours so that I can not be so bewildered anymore?" So this is a chapter where Krishna is teaching Arjuna how to become free from that influence. It's under his control. One last reference, and the bell's going to ring. Vyasadeva said the same thing. The whole of Srimad Bhagavatam is based upon Narada's instructions to Vyasa to fix his mind in complete trance of meditation, samadhi, upon the personality of Godhead. He would get certain realization, and the Srimad Bhagavatam should be an explanation of that. Just explain the personality of Godhead as your realization shows. So he did that. Samyak samihate malay. He fixed his mind on the personality of Godhead, and then he saw the personality of Godhead. Sakshat purusham purnam. Mayam cha. He saw Maya too. Tad aparshayam. Because she was now behind the Supreme Lord. He had told her, "Okay, this is my devotee Vyasa. He wants to see me, so you can move out of the way, please." And she just moved out of the way, because normally you don't see because she's in the way, like a cloud blocks the sun. You don't see. So much rain today. Part of the reason why we're late. So as the cloud blocks the sun, so also Maya blocks our vision of the Supreme. Just as it said here, all living entities are under the influence of these three modes. But Krishna can remove the influence of the three modes. He's not under the influence of the modes. The modes are under his direction. And if he withdraws them, we're in the same liberated position as Krishna is, by that linking process with devotion. So, summary, because Arti is supposed to begin. Our primary means of making that connection with Krishna is chanting of the holy name. So we're going to do some chanting of the holy name together. And from that chanting of the holy name, awakening of the mood, the soul's natural disposition of service. That's the meaning of the Maha Mantra. Please engage me in your service. So then throughout our day, we can be engaged in Krishna's service. And throughout our whole life. Hare Krishna.